Hello and welcome to the Middle East Report. In this program today, we're going to be discussing the importance and the significance of a young person visiting Israel. I know as a 21-year-old when I was at the University of Manchester, visiting Israel for the first time with a course that was organised by the Hebrew University of Jerusalem was a life-changing experience. And so we're talking about today how Israel, if you're a young person, can radically transform your life and give you a passion and direction. And the Lord can really visit you in the land, which is Israel. So this is today's program. We'll be discussing how and why you should actually visit Israel. And I'm joined by two guests today. I'm joined by Monix from Keshet and also Moshe. Well, hi guys, welcome to the Middle East Report. It's good to have a kind of young, vibrant European feel and also an Israeli feel to the Middle East Report today, as we're discussing the importance of why young people, those in their late teens and 20s, should actually visit Israel and spend time in Israel. And firstly, I'd like to introduce you, Monix, because you're Holland. You're Christian from Holland, yes. And Moshe, you're a mix between Swiss and Israeli, but so it's a good combination. So you didn't bring any chocolate with you?
No. I had them all already on the way.
Monix, would you just like to share with our viewers something about how you came to the Lord and something about growing up as a Christian in Holland and how Israel's really transformed your life that you're now working for Keshet Educational Tours?
Yeah. I came to Israel about 5 years ago, and I didn't have a real living relationship with the Lord before that. And but in the year before I went to Israel, I really felt that God was asking, when are you going to make a real decision for me? And He did that through several occasions, actually. And in the end, I decided to go to Israel, and first of all, I thought I'm going to Thailand or Indonesia and do some backpacking, but I was really searching for God, and so I went to Israel, and I really was searching for God, but I didn't know how to find Him, and I ended up staying in a monastery because it was not that expensive, and I met a lot of Christians down there, and I asked them, how can I find God? And they said to me, you have to read your Bible. And so I sat down in the sun and was reading from my Bible, but it was like dry text to me. But then after a while, I started traveling around the country, and I rented a car and drove down from the Mount Hermon to the Sea of Galilee, and it was a beautiful sunset. And I thought, this is a good place to pray to God. And so I parked my car, sat down at a stone wall, and I just spoke to the Lord, and I said, here I am, tell me what I should do. I'm fed up of doing it my own way, but tell me, I want to choose for you. And then I felt an arm around me and a voice saying to me, if you will follow me, I will lead you. And as down to earth as I especially was at that time, I immediately asked, that's an easy answer, but how? But I didn't get an answer to that question. But later on, when I just continued after that. But later on, when I started reading from my Bible, suddenly words started to speak to me, and I felt really guidance through what I was reading in my Bible, and it felt like a new Bible to me, and I started to love the Word and hungry for more. And a bit later on, I read in the New Testament, and I didn't know the Bible that well, that Jesus said to his disciples at the Sea of Galilee, "Follow me," and then I thought, I can't deny this anymore. If he's saying that to his disciples, but also to me, I just want to go this way now. And so I used to be in business before I came to Israel, in regular business. And I just wanted to find out what God's plan were for my life. And I knew that I had certain talents, and I just wanted to make them available for Him. And I said just to the Lord, here I am, and I want to make myself available. And then I got in touch with a Jewish Orthodox organization in Jerusalem called Hineni, and they help survivors of terror, mainly from Sderot, but also in the city of Jerusalem. They have a soup kitchen and all kinds of social programs. And I just started helping there. And I really experienced Israel there from within. And they kept inviting me for Shabbat dinners and for yes, for Shabbat dinners and for the Jewish feasts. And I went with them to the synagogue, and all these experiences just strengthened me in my Christian faith. And I started to understand the Jewishness of Jesus. And but I also saw that there was such a division between Jews and Christians. And I thought, where did we went astray? What happened? So I really felt it on my heart that I want to start building bridges between Jews and Christians. And that's why I started to organize programs for Christians and to enable for Christians to have the same experience as I had by organizing Shabbat dinners through this organization Hineni, and meeting with rabbis and celebrating the feasts. And I really believe that as soon as people come in touch with their Jewish root, like it's written in Romans 11, that they will flourish and that they will blossom. And but it says also clearly that if you grow and even grow faster or higher than the original branches, know that you're nothing without the root. I mean, it's still the root which is feeding you. And I hope that people, when they come to Israel, that they get in touch with their Jewish roots, and that through that they will blossom too. And that's why I started to organize these programs. And there was such a demand for these kind of programs that I started to work together with a local tour operator in Israel, specialized in educational tours, called Keshet, the Center for Educational Tourism. And we started to organize these programs and prepare complete itineraries for people to really experience Israel from within, and meeting the people and educating while they're in the land. So.
Fantastic, a very inspirational story and testimony. So thank you, Monix. And Moshe, coming back from an Israeli Swiss background. So what's your story?
Yes, I grew up in Switzerland, and my mom is Swiss and my father Israeli. So my mom was a young Christian lady, and she went on a trip to Israel to see the Holy Land. And
came back with an Israeli.
Yeah. No, but the maid in the hotel of my mom was my grandmother.
Ah.
So she invited her for Shabbat dinner, and then right after the dinner she asked my mom, which one of my sons do you want? But I always say it's special because my grandmother is a Jewish girl before the state of Israel was established in 1948. She grew up in the old city. And her father sent her to the Anglican school. Christchurch at that time was a girls' school, because this school was one of the best in the area. So she was Jewish but sent to a Christian school. And I believe that was the reason why she was open, that my father is getting married to a Christian. And that's how it started. And I was born in Switzerland, grew up in Switzerland. I grew up half Jewish, half Christian. I went with my mom to a congregation in Switzerland. But on the other side, I got a Jewish identity. And we celebrated the feasts, we celebrated Shabbat. And that's why I think, because I got this identity, I felt so connected to Israel, to my family there. And it became much stronger when, especially at the time of the Intifada. So I remember 2001, it was in summer. And one evening I watched television late at night when I came back in the weekend, and I saw the terror attack. It was an attack in the Dolphinarium nightclub in Tel Aviv, where a suicide bomber entered this nightclub, and over 20 young Israelis died and hundreds of injured. And at that moment I decided to come to Israel and to serve in the army. I thought I'm going to be a hero and to help my family down there and become a combat soldier. But when I then went to Israel a year later and entered the army, maybe 2-3 days, and I would have loved to go back to Switzerland. So when I look back now, after I was released from the army in 2006, but 3 years I served in the army, and when I look back now, I think the army gave me much more than I could give Israel. I realized what is important in my life, and I remember at the beginning where it was really hard for me. Friends in the unit who died, and it was for me that complicated that I didn't know with who to speak about it. So I couldn't openly speak about it, but I always called my parents, and it was hard for me. But and I couldn't tell them everything. But my mom felt that there is something I cannot tell, and she always read Bible verses to me on the phone, and she never said at any moment, "Look, it was your decision. Why did you make this decision?" If she would have said that, I probably would have gone back to Switzerland. But she always supported me with Bible verses that at that time I was much more open to listen to that. And everything became for me three-dimensional. The life in Israel, my colleagues, I was in a tent of maybe 25 soldiers, and they came from at least 10 different nations. So everything, the prophecies in the Bible, and everything became like a living thing for me in Israel. It wasn't just Bible, a bit of history, and I didn't have that personal relationship with God, and I didn't see the importance of the Bible. But when I went through this time and I saw everything in front of me, then I got much more connected to that, and it became the main part. And the family became important for me, especially at the moment when you don't have anything left. And so after the army, I decided then to somehow, I wanted that experience, as Marnix explained it, to give back to those who were important for me, and especially Christians who I grew up with, and I wanted to connect them to Israel. One thing that made it for me, or what gave me a lot of inspiration, is that they asked me in the army, they said to me, "Listen, you came here, you were born by a non-Jewish mother and a Jewish father, so by Jewish Orthodox law, you're not seen as being Jewish. So in the army, they asked me, let's do a 2-month course. We send you. You can pass the conversion to become Jewish, and then you will be able to get married in Israel." And it's a complicated story, but in Israel, just Jews can marry with each other, Christians and Muslims. You always have to get married through the religious institutions. So I thought, okay, to make it easier, I better do the course. I get the signature from the rabbi, and then I can get married to a Jewish lady and have it much easier to integrate in Israel. And I did that course, and I got by miracle this signature. Even by criteria, I probably shouldn't have passed this course. And I learned that in that course that Jews and Christians, they think so different. They look at things different, and not that I want to say who is right in that perspective, but because Jews always lived in among them and never got connected to Christians, they never saw any perspective, a Christian perspective, and saw they connected the cross with Holocaust, with Inquisition, with horror movies, and Jesus has no meaning for them, and just negative meaning. And on the Christian side, many Christians believe that Jews cannot have a personal relationship to God if they don't believe in Jesus, and they never were able kind of to get to know Jews, get to know why they see it like that, what is their background, what is the reason, and to understand each other. And then I, especially at that point, I wanted to give that back and to get to build this bridge between Jews and Christians. So I got the opportunity to start to work at Keshet, in a Jewish Orthodox company, and the director, the owner of the company, he's an observing Jew, Orthodox Jew. He observes the laws, and for him to bring Christians, he didn't really see a vision in that at the beginning. And I remember one of my first groups that I bought was a Christian group from Germany. They supported Israel, and they stayed the whole weekend in a community and in the yeshiva, in the Torah school. And they got teaching from Orthodox rabbis. And I told that to my boss. I said, I have a Christian group in this Torah center. And I said, that's strange. I've never even had a Jewish group staying there. And that's the first time where he gave a lecture to a Christian group. And he came back and said to me, that's unbelievable, but it's the first time that a group says yes and amen to everything I say. And he realized that with a Christian group, he can be spiritually and having a same biblical understanding that he'd never had with a Jewish group. And that changed dramatically with him, that he, from that moment, he was so open and supporting in bringing Christians to Israel, that last year we had a big youth group, Engage Israel, over 100 young people from all over the world, young Christians who came for 2 weeks, and then my boss spoke to them at the end of the tour, and then after the tour came to me and said, you know, Moshe, maybe this is the reason or the opportunity that God gives us to be a light to the nations again. So it became much stronger from him. He realized that Jews always lived Judaism of survival. It was always to survive in the environment, to be separated, to just not to assimilate. And now in Israel, after some years being in Israel, you want to live Judaism as in an independent environment. And that's the point where you can reach out to others, and that he realized that this is a turning point in his life, where he is able not just to reach his own community, where he can reach Christians all over the world.
That's an incredible testimony, both of you. Now, if we got young people watching the program, the Middle East Report, and if you're young, I can't advise you more than anything than to go and visit Israel and spend some time there, because it's truly inspirational. And if you're older and you have children of teenage years or those in their 20s, you really want to encourage them to really go to Israel. I know that when I went to Israel, and I was a 21-year-old from the University of Manchester, and I did a 3 months course over there organised by the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and we stayed in this beautiful kibbutz in the north called Kibbutz Keshet, which is a big American kibbutz. I think it was established in 1934, and I liked it because it had big grounds, had a swimming pool, had a football pitch. We could play football, and we actually learnt Hebrew from an Orpan class one day, and the next day work in something called the Mashnakim, which was the little factory, and then we go on tours around Israel and then have lectures. So there's lots of sport and things like that, and educational trips. It's just an incredible time. And I came back with this tremendous kind of love for Israel. I had it before, but it just magnified it by about 100 times. And my experience of being in Israel is that when you go there and you spend some time there, you leave your heart there, and your heart's always longing to go back. So for the young Christians who are watching this program today, why should they go to Israel? Marnix, I'll ask you. You can answer that question.
First of all, your Bible comes to life. That's, I think, suddenly you visit places which you have read about already for ages maybe, or not so long, but suddenly you see all those names right in front of you, and you can visit them yourself. And then the second thing is that the land has so much to offer. It's so diverse, and you can have besides just visiting holy places. I mean, there are so many parts of Israel which are nice and fun to visit, and also to have encounters with the people of Israel and with Christian Palestinians or Palestinians in general. Everything is possible, and that makes it really dynamic. And
yeah. And so Moshe as well. Why should young Christians come to Israel, and how does Israel kind of change your walk with the Lord? But not only change your walk with the Lord, but also give you a passion and a love for what is God's, is His land and His people.
When after I did the tour guide course, I started to guide different groups in Israel, and not every group that comes to the land is as you want them to be. Accept what you say and accept what you tell them. And especially we try to reach the ones that didn't had any relationship with Israel, or even had a really negative picture of Israel. So I started to bring groups that were so anti-Israel with a balanced program. We had the Green Party of Germany. We had the socialist newspaper that see Israel. Most of the participants at the first day said to me, look, we come here and we want to do this program, but just that you know, we see Israel as a terror state. And I learned to deal with that really easily and not to take it emotionally when people react like this. And I see through to my experience that people are so much influenced, first of all, by the media, but not just the media. I see that there are a small percentage of people who have anti-Semitic feelings, and it's not all of those who are anti-Israel are anti-Semitic, but there is one small part in there. And these people try to convince the rest of their feelings, of their emotions, and try to convince them mostly with lies. And I believe in those parts who are critical against Israel, there are at least 80% who are open to listen. And those people I would like to reach, that they don't need to see that one part is totally right and the other part totally wrong. That's not the case. in Israel, but that they start to see that the stories they hear through media, through those small part of people with anti-Semitic feeling, that those are lies. And when I can bring them to that point, then they start to be at a point where they want to learn more, and not just through the media. I had most of the groups were adults, but we enjoy to bring young people, young Christians or young people who are not Christians, who have who are not believers, and I see that Israel doesn't just show them a balanced, and they can balance out these emotions. I see that Israel can bring them the connection to the Bible, that what is written in the Bible is not just a fairy tale.
Yeah, well, we've got a clip to go to now that is called Keshet, and this will give you some understanding of some of the fun and the educational tools that you can have in Israel.
And it's been absolutely amazing. The atmosphere is so friendly.
We did so much. One of the best parts was when we went cave crawling. It was just outside of Jerusalem, in these really small tunnels. Really changes your views and opinions on so many things.
One of the best experiences of my life so far. I've made so many good friends, and it's just so easy to just enjoy yourself.
Welcome back to the Middle East Report. For me, Marnix, that brought back a lot of very good memories seeing that clip. And, you know, when I did my course, there were 28 Jewish people, mainly from North America, 4 Europeans, and I was one of only 2 Christians on that group. So it was a kind of incredible time, and being able to build those very special friendships, getting involved in kind of group activities like the on hiking and kayaking and seeing Israel, which is great fun. But it also leaves you with a greater understanding of Israel. And the one thing I find frustrating with so many tours to Israel is that they just focus on the holy sites.
Yes.
You know, for young people, it's a bit. A little bit. But you know, but these kind of tours really do give an understanding of Israel and the Jewish people and the culture and stuff as well. What are one of the major benefits that if someone were to go on one of these young people's educational tours, what do they actually get out of it? apart from a deeper relationship with the Lord, obviously.
Yeah, of course, a lot more biblical understanding, but also, once they are on such an international tour, for example, we have a tour for called Engage from Ebenezer. There are people from all over the world come together, and the beauty of that is that they see they're not the only ones. Interested in Israel, maybe even loving Israel, starting to love Israel, and then they meet fellow Christians from all over the world, and in many countries around the world, Christian youth separates from or are a bit isolated, but now they meet different nationalities from all over the world, and that's very powerful to connect and to encourage each other, and that's a real big benefit.
And Moshe, kind of, what's your response when you get someone as part? Because I know you're very much involved in the Engage Israel tours, which are extremely good, organised by the Ebenezer Fund. When you have those young people who actually join up to the tours, do they have a preconceived idea of Israel before they go, and does that change once they're on the tour?
No, I think especially when they young believers coming to Israel, the tour connects them with Israel, with today's Israel, especially with the people in the land, and they get a different picture of what many of them had before. But I'm not quite sure if they had any picture before, as in this tour most young people come from Latin America, from Asia, from Europe as well. I believe in Europe what young people are struggling more than in other countries is to defend Israel towards their colleagues in the universities and their friends. And I think it's good, especially for young Christians when they come to Israel, it's to have a fun itinerary, to go for hikes, to meet young Israelis, to meet young Arab Christians, to go to a congregation to have worship, but to get as lot as possible of information to be able to defend Israel, not just from a biblical perspective. So that they are able in the university to say, I've been there, I've been in Bethlehem, I've been in Nablus, I've been in Palestinian city, I've met with Palestinians, but I saw that and that as well. And I've been there, and especially when a young person in his university can say, I've been there, I've seen that, and that is why that and that happened in that country, and then other people will be much more open to hear about the biblical connection to the land as well. But sometimes I see when young Christians don't have any knowledge about history, about the politics in this area, about security issues, security concerns of the Israelis, then they start at the first point to argue with the Bible. And that is not accepted by non-believers. But if non-believers see that they have a knowledge and they've been there and they made their thoughts about it, then the colleagues can start to be much more open to listen about the biblical connection to the land as well, and what the Bible says about Israel. And that we see today that miracles are being fulfilled in Israel, and everybody who knows them, who knows the prophecies and is in Israel, you cannot deny it. And I believe especially because God is acting in this country, that is making people crazy. So there is no other area in the world that makes people so crazy as this country. And I believe because it's that place where you can see one of the biggest, when not the biggest miracle in our time, that Jews from over 170 countries come back to their land, and we have a successful state that is inventing technologies all over the world and exporting them all over the world is when you go in Europe to a hospital, there's no possibility that you're going to be healed without any Israeli tool. So everything, and I think this is the reason that makes the world crazy about this area. And I always take young Christians to not just the normal sites, the Holy Land sites, maybe some of them need to be included, but we take them especially to Hebron. We take them to Samaria, to Mount Gerizim, the heartland of the Bible. And when you then see that Hebron was bought by Abraham, he could have got it by present, the Machpelah cave, but he bought it. He wanted to buy it, and he insisted to buy it. The same King David on the Temple Mount, Mount Moriah. King David insisted to buy it, and the same happened in today's Palestinian city of Nablus, that is the biblical city of Shechem, where Jacob bought land as well there. And those three cities are the most complicated politically seen cities in the world. And especially because the Bible is so much connected to these places. And the Jews want to go back there to build the land, to have vineyards on the hills of Samaria, as it's written in the prophecies. And Christians today are able, we are able to bring Christians to help in the vineyards of Samaria. As it is written in the Bible that the nations will help on the vineyards of Samaria. And that is something that is not just tourism. It's not just having a Holy Land tour. It's actually be a part of it, be a part of history. And that is what moves people.
Excellent. And I've got to also ask you as well that so many people are sadly put off going to Israel because they put on some of the mainstream TV channels and they watch the news, and I think, well, it's just nothing but a war zone. But I know that I feel personally so much safer walking the streets of Tel Aviv or walking the streets of Jerusalem at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning than I ever would any part of London. And isn't it important that we break down those perceptions?
Exactly, and when people are there, they can't imagine everything they have seen or heard before. I mean, then they see it with their own eyes and experience it themselves. And for me also, that was one of the reasons when I first came to Israel. I really wanted to bring out the news, what it was really like in Israel. And I set up an organization called Missing Peace, which stands for the peace which is lacking, but also the missing piece of information, which is usually lacking in the stories. It's so much. There's so much more to learn and to see than what you are seeing on the television, and that's why it's so it has such an impact when you see it with your own eyes and come yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Moshe, for example, a friend of the family and a very close friend of my wife, she actually went to a tour to Israel, but she didn't meet one single Israeli. It's like going to Italy and not meeting one Italian. Part of the experience, surely, isn't it? And that's why I like, Monex, your idea of having Shabbat with the Jewish families. That is when you connect with Jewish people, you connect with Israelis in the land, you experience Israeli hospitality, which is second to none. That is when you begin to really feel the real Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that what we want to change. Every time I have an evaluation with a group, a day before they leave, the highlights were not the touristic side. The highlights were to meet people. If they're Orthodox Jews, rabbis who they meet, Messianic Jews, if they meet Arab Christians. We bring a lot. We started a cooperation with an Arab Christian, a former Muslim who became a Christian in the land, and we started a relationship with them. He's a Palestinian, and he welcomes the groups and gives his testimony, and such things are they're highlights. They don't, and then the next time they want more of that, and that's what we would like to do. But it's not so easy, because most people, not most people, that there are groups that don't really wish that. And I've had a meeting a month ago with a Catholic travel agency. They are owned by the Catholic Church, and the Catholics start to be more open towards Israel, and towards not just the Holy Land, towards Israel, so to today's Israel. And she told me that 20 years they organized tours to Israel, and they've never met a Jew. So that is the tour guide. They don't need a tour guide, because most of the groups are led by the priest itself.
Yep.
And if they take a tour guide, he's an Arab Catholic. And no way that they would take a Jew as a tour guide even. And so I offered them a trip to meet all kind of groups living in Israel, and have common meetings with Jews, with Christians, with Muslims even, and that made it possible for them, or they decided to do their first trip that is totally different what they did 20 years. So some people don't know that it exists. Some people think there are just Holy Land tours in Israel. And some people, it's not easy for them to make the change, and not easy for them to try to convince their own clients or their own organization members to do that, because they're afraid they get into something that maybe wouldn't fit in the imagination of some of the participants.
Excellent. And we've got a Engage Israel tour. This is a promo for 2013.
Somebody would help me win.
Pero hay batallas
But there's battles
personales.
because we're afraid that when the fire comes, it will burn up everything. Welcome back to the Middle East Report. I also have to say that Revelation TV also organised their own tour to Israel, organised their own Tim Vince, which is very good. Which really leads me on to the question, because sadly, guys, we're down to the last 2 minutes so of the programme. Do you plan to meet Tim Vince and convince him of the need to have a young people's Revelation tour of Israel?
Yes, I think this is important for many ministries to have a new generation. And our vision, especially with young people, with youth pastors, is that we would like to copy a Jewish idea. And the Jewish idea is called Taglit, and it brought over 200,000 young Jews from all over the world for free to Israel, to connect them with the land and build up a new Jewish generation with their connection to Israel, that they don't lose that. And what we see, most people who travel to Israel and have a relationship with Israel are older, and I think that the ministries should invest in their new generation. And it's not but just organizing a tour, it's to help financially some key person to come. If they get the understanding how important that is for their youth congregation, if they are able financially to come, then many more young people will come. But it's, I think the finances are a key that they start to support.
Guys, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today on the Middle East Report, talking about your passion and the importance of education and visiting Israel. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all for watching today's Middle East Report. I can actually testify from my own experience of having visited Israel as a 21-year-old when I first went there. It became life-changing, and it's given me the great passion and love now to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. And if you are a young person in your late teens or early 20s, then I couldn't recommend anything more than really going to Israel, exploring what the land has to offer, meeting God in a powerful and new way, and coming back with a heart and a vision and a passion to stand with Israel and the Jewish people in these final chapters of world history. So thank you for watching today's Middle East Report, and enjoy this song which looks at the beauty that is the modern state of Israel. you.